Hey, ho, ho. This is Jerry doing a little bit of a new experiment. I'm not sure if I'm going to keep doing these or whatever, but I wanted to record something right after I saw the new Doctor Strange movie because we weren't doing the podcast that weekend. And I wanted to record my thoughts of what I thought about the movie right after seeing it. Unfortunately, that was like 20 minutes, as you see right now. So I was going to have it a part of this next week's podcast, but it is, I think, a little bit too long to just have in the middle of the podcast. So I'm releasing it as a little bit of a bonus episode since we aren't going to do a podcast this week. So I hope you enjoy it. If you're interested in more stuff like this, drop a like, leave a review, do something, reach out, give us some feedback. I would really appreciate it. I don't know if this is going to work, so let's see. All right, let's get started. As of recording this is May 5th, 2022 at 9:54 p.m. I have just gotten out of the theaters of seeing Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, the new hit Marvel film. I've never done one of these before, but it's just me. But I thought that it would be a good idea to get my first reactions to the film, seeing as we are going to be recording this podcast that you are listening to a couple weeks away. So I'm probably going to forget everything about this movie. Frankly, I'm already forgetting things about the movie, which is not a good sign. But I thought I would detail some of the more, some of the details that I noticed about the movie, because the big picture stuff I'm sure I'm going to remember for the podcast in a couple weeks. But there was a couple things that I thought were important to bring up, especially since this is Sam Raimi's first movie in 9 years. For those who don't know, I guess, I'm probably going to talk about this, so never mind. I won't go into the history of Sam Raimi, but very short story. I'm a pretty big fan of Sam Raimi. I have seen the original Spider-Man trilogy. I think those are some of the quintessential superhero movies, period. And, I've seen the majority of The Evil Dead. I guess I do need to preface that I'm not a horror man. I've never been able to stomach it. I am a very big weenie in that regard. So I tried watching Sam Raimi's classic, The Evil Dead, but I could not get through it. I know it is like the most campiest, low budget B movie ever, which is, part of its charm. But it was too freaky. Even even the little bit of creep that there is, it was able to get me. I have not seen The Evil Dead 2 or Army of Darkness or any of those other post Evil Dead movies. I also have not seen Darkman. I've been interested in seeing Darkman. I've seen the Red Letter Media review of it, and I'm interested. So I might see that sometime this week, but who knows? I might talk about it in the podcast. I don't know. So let's dive into the movie. I guess slight spoilers ahead, I guess, if you're interested in that kind of thing. If you are interested in Marvel movies, I guess, you probably have already seen it. This is a weird case where I'm not a huge Marvel fan. I just somehow managed to get roped into seeing most of the movies. I'm a very big Taika Waititi fan, so I'm going to end up seeing that new Thor movie. I'm a big James Gunn fan, so I'm going to end up seeing the new Guardians movies. And then in general, I'm probably the biggest fan of Spider-Man. Just right under Batman for me. He's one of my favorites. So I was not going to see this movie. I have not seen Shang-Chi or The Eternals because, frankly, I don't care. Of Marvel shows I've seen WandaVision, Captain Falcon or whatever, and Loki. Uh, that was just because I was so bored I needed something. And they were all the same formulaic schlock that Marvel tends to put out. But I was interested in seeing this movie because Sam Raimi was attached. As I said, it's his first movie directorial thing that he's done since Oz the Great and Powerful in 2013. And I was like, oh, okay. They got Sam Raimi to come out of retirement. He's been producing for the past couple years, but he's back in the directorial seat, which I thought was very interesting. The guy that was there before was kicked off for creative reasons, which is Marvel code for he wanted to make his own movie, and Kevin Feige couldn't control every aspect of him, which is interesting as to how Sam Raimi got roped into making a Marvel movie. Like, I can't imagine that there's a lot of things in this movie that I'm sure Marvel didn't want in it. And first thing is that it's pretty like gruesome. Like, I guess major spoilers ahead. So if you are interested, then stop the video. I will say just in short, the movie is completely fine. It's nothing crazy. I don't know. My opinion might change as I sit with it, but I guess going into the gore, which is weird to say in relation to a Marvel movie, but there is like a pretty eventful scene where Scarlet Witch, who ends up being the main bad guy of the movie, which I haven't seen a trailer for this, so I don't know how much of this was given away beforehand. I know that Professor X, being played by Patrick Stewart, reprising his role from the X-Men movies, was announced in a trailer. But there were some other surprises on that council thing that he's a part of, which is called the Illuminati, which is so weird to hear come out of like Marvel characters' mouths, because it's like this is like a real conspiracy theory that tends to be pretty anti-Semitic. So it was kind of weird to see it repurposed as like a security council thing. But yeah, the Illuminati is basically just like this big collection of superheroes. So you got like Professor X, he's in it. Like that universe's Captain Marvel is in it. Reed Richards, who's Mr. Fantastic in the Fantastic Four, he's in it. And then like Black Bolt, which is also another X-Men thing, which is interesting. I don't know the details of this like Sony Marvel thing, because I believe Sony owned the rights, or was it Fox owned the rights to the X-Men? It might be Fox, so then Disney would own them straight up. But Black Bolt was like a leader of the mutants in Marvel Comics. So there was like all these big players. There's these like huge fan favorite characters, like, you know, people really are attached to Patrick Stewart as Professor X. Who they got to play Reed Richards, people have been asking for like years. So much so that the Marvel fanboys around me, as soon as he showed up, like shook the chair and like acted like a monkey seeing a banana on the other side of a cage or something. Started freaking out. So yeah, they were super excited to see. I guess it's like I already said, it's Reed Richards, so I guess I'll just come out and say it. Again, major spoilers ahead, but they got John Krasinski to play Mr. Fantastic, which I'm pretty sure is like, you know, I've been seeing people post about that for a very long time because Marvel's making their Fantastic Four movie. So I don't know if this confirms that John Krasinski is going to be Mr. Fantastic in that. I guess I'll know by now, maybe. But considering that's in like a different universe, I don't know if that's extremely likely. But also, Mr. Strange or Doctor Strange, whatever, is played by Benedict Cumberbatch in all the universes, so it's probably gonna be John Krasinski. But yeah, so there's this huge council of all these fan favorite superheroes, and then Scarlet Witch like gruesomely kills them all. Oh, and I forgot Captain Carter, whatever. It's like Captain America, but if it was a British lady. So she has like the Union Jack on her shield. But there's like this moment in like they're trying to protect like the main MacGuffin of the story, which is this character named America Chavez, which frankly I don't know much about. I think she's a newer Marvel character, so I wouldn't know about that as my time as a kid watching the movies. So she like absolutely kills everybody. Like Black Bolt, his thing is that whenever he talks, it creates like this shockwave that instantly like disintegrates you. It's like he's like one of the most powerful things in Marvel, whatever. And so Scarlet Witch like does a magic spell and like gets rid of his mouth, and then when he tries to talk, the back of his head explodes and he just like falls down and like this like gruesome like pile. I'm like, this isn't a Marvel movie and it's rated PG-13, which is very interesting. And then Reed Richards is like cut in like all these like little pieces and he's like torn apart, and you like John Krasinski like screams while he's getting pulled apart by these magic things. Captain Carter gets cut in half by her own shield, which isn't explicitly shown, but like Scarlet Witch like whips the shield at her, and we see like it going towards her gut, and then we see it on the other side hit a wall, and it's like just covered in blood. Which is so, yeah, I can't get over that this was in a Marvel movie. It's like so gory, and like at the end of the movie, Doctor Strange like takes over a zombie of himself, and that zombie has been like decomposing. So there's like chunks of his face that are gone. Like the whole right side of his mouth is just gone. You can see like the teeth and like the flesh rotting off of his face. Again, in a baby Marvel movie, like there was like kids walking out of the theater when I was so surprised that Sam Raimi was able to sneak this in. I know that he's the freaking cosmic horror undead, stuff. Like I know that much about him to know that he does a lot of like body horror stuff. But yeah, I have no idea how Kevin Feige was like, yeah, that's cool. Um, I mean, I liked it because, I think a lot of the issues with Marvel movies I have is that nobody dies and there are no stakes. Yeah, a lot of like fan favorite characters just get killed. Like she snaps Patrick Stewart's neck, and it's like, how are you gonna do that? This guy is like 88 years old, and you're just gonna kill him again? Actually, I don't know what happens in Logan. I just assume that he dies. So yeah, that was pretty awesome. In terms of like cinematography, Sam Raimi is known for like brash movements, like a very fluid camera style, along with like whipping and like spinning the camera, and doing some like really weirdo sequences. I would include them if this was a video. I would show some examples, but that's not the format that we're doing here. I would look up, there's some clips of The Evil Dead 2. I think those are probably pretty good examples of what Sam Raimi is capable of. Or look up the Doc Ock hospital scene from Spider-Man 2, which is probably one of the scariest moments in any superhero show or movie or whatever. So yeah, look at that if you haven't already seen it somehow. But there wasn't a whole lot of that. I know that Sam Raimi, he was added on very late because the original director for Doctor Strange 1 was going to be directing Doctor Strange 2, and then he got the boot. So I don't know how much of an impact he had on the, actual cinematography of it all. But there was some moments where like the camera spun around and did some crazy things, but not as much as you would kind of want going into a Sam Raimi movie. But speaking of like Sam Raimi tropes, Bruce Campbell is in this movie. He's given a very small cameo. I was looking for him like throughout the first part of the movie. I'm glad they kind of gave him his cameo pretty close to the beginning because I was going to be looking for him the whole movie. I guess for those, I'm just going to be talking about Sam Raimi tropes this whole time. But Bruce Campbell and Sam Raimi are like really close. I think Sam Raimi really wanted Bruce Campbell to be like a star. That never really happened. I think like I don't know if like everyday people would know who Bruce Campbell is, but maybe if you saw the face and you've seen like Army of Darkness, because that one was pretty big. Or yeah, he wasn't even in Darkman. That was Liam Neeson. But Bruce Campbell worked on the audio department in that movie. Funnily enough. But yeah, he plays just like a hot dog vendor, and Doctor Strange makes him hit himself for 3 weeks, which is pretty brutal. I don't know what kind of magic Doctor Strange has, but I guess he can make people punch themselves for 3 weeks at a time, which is played for yucks. But that would probably be the worst thing ever, and it's like a laughing matter. Not that I'm especially complaining about that. It's just a little bit. There's a little bit of a disconnect when your superhero like inflicts like serious injury to an innocent person. Like he kind of like makes fun of Doctor Strange because he's like a different person in his universe. And he's like about to squirt mustard in Doctor Strange's face, and in retaliation, Doctor Strange makes him punch himself for 3 weeks. This is the superhero of the movie. This isn't a bad guy. The bad guy absolutely murders everybody in the whole movie, and at the end, she has a redemption arc. I listen. I need to reemphasize that this movie isn't great. It's not bad. It's a fine Marvel product. Also, this really got me angry. At the end of the show, people were waiting on the after credits. You gotta wait. Which I gotta say, the second after credit scene was actually very funny. It made all the Marvel fanboys really upset around me. But I thought it was hilarious. Because I guess who cares? The last end credit scene, you have to sit through the wall of previs and special effects people. It's just Bruce Campbell punching himself one more time, and he's like bruised and cut all over himself, and then he's like, it's the moment the spell wears off, and he just like, oh, and then like he looks into the camera, and there's like a classic Sam Raimi like snap zoom, and he says it's over, and then it just cuts to black, and then that's the movie. Yeah, I need to talk about this. So I was on I think this was the third screening of the night. Marvel went all out. I saw, look, this is probably old news at this point, but I saw the theater in Times Square had like screenings of this movie like every 5 minutes. Like they rented every single theater out for people to see this movie. So yeah, and that was actually like in my little rinky-dink town in Iowa. Like there was the screening started at 6. I went to the screening at 7, and I think that that was the fourth screening because there was a screening at 6:30 and 6:25 also. So there was like 4 theaters running this thing at the same time at least. Not that there's a whole lot out right now, but I just still thought that like it's a little bit shocking that Disney's putting all of this effort into like you have to rent out the theater for this long, and then they wonder why the theater industry is dying. It's because you are doing these horrible practices. But enough about that. Enough of the soapbox. I need to talk about Marvel fanboys. my theater experience, I feel like I talk about this every single time I go to the theater. It was absolutely packed. The guy next to me brought his girlfriend, who I could imagine wanted to be literally anywhere else. I wish them the best in their future relationship. But ooh boy, I could tell that she was not into it. And by the end of the movie, I could tell that he was also not into it. He was the type of guy to rock his chair and get super excited when he saw that Reed Richards was played by John Krasinski. And then as soon as the movie was over, he's like, oh, fuck Sam Raimi. He doesn't get anything. This sucked. I'm like, you are a stupid idiot. Why, why do you blame Sam Raimi for making another Marvel product when he didn't even write the thing? He just came in and directed and told Benedict Cumberbatch to make the same face that he makes in every single movie. And you're out here blaming Sam Raimi when it's the Marvel product pipeline that you should be upset about, guy. I don't care. It made me a little upset, frankly. No one should be taking Sam Raimi's name in vain. It was frankly disappointing. I've never been so upset at the Marvel fan base. And so for this moment, they will forever have my spite. This one guy in this theater who said, fuck Sam Raimi, forever that will taint my views of the Marvel fan base. But yeah, so I don't know if Marvel people especially like this movie. I thought it was okay. I don't know. I'll probably talk about more. I just realized that this segment is 20 minutes. I'm going to be talking about Doctor Strange very briefly when I'm together with the boys. So I guess we'll cut back to that. Sorry about taking so long. Yeah, we're not cutting back to the podcast. This is just the end of the bonus episode. So if you listen to the whole thing, you now know my thoughts on Doctor Strange 2. If you're interested in more of these kind of impromptu, immediate stuff, as soon as I'm done with the movie, I record something. Let me know. I have a Twitter. If you want to tweet at me or something, let me know. That would be fantastic. I enjoyed doing it, but I don't know how it's going to be received, that it's just me. It's a little bit of a different dynamic, but let me know. I hope you enjoyed it. So yeah, see you next week.